Please, Mr. President and my highly distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate of this very important bill for the establishment of the Armed Forces Service Commission. The bill was read for the first time in these hallowed chambers on Tuesday, 3rd of March, 2020. This bill seeks to get the National Assembly to give effect to the clear provisions of Section 219 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The Armed Forces of Nigeria is a national institution that should be insulated from the vagaries of political divisions, and therefore, the framers of the Constitution, in their wisdom, inserted this section to prevent a situation where our national symbol of unity and strength could be sacrificed on the altar of political temperament. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to establish the Armed Forces Service Commission to ensure that the composition, appointment of service chiefs of the Armed Forces of the Federation reflects federal character of Nigeria in the manner prescribed in Section 2173 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. For clarity, Section 219 says as follows: the National Assembly shall, in giving effect to the functions specified in Section 217 of the 1999 Constitution, B, with respect to the powers exercisable by the President under Section 218 of the Constitution, establish a body that shall comprise such members as the National Assembly may determine, and we shall have power to ensure that the composition of the Armed Forces of the Federation reflects federal character of Nigeria in the manner prescribed by Section 217 of the Constitution. The establishment of this commission is informed by the imperative to give effect to the provisions of Section 217 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic to ensure that the composition, appointment of service chiefs of the Armed Forces of the Federation reflects the said section. The function and powers of the Commission shall be to have the power and authority pursuant to Section 219 of the Constitution as amended to ensure that the composition, appointment of service chiefs of the Federation, of the Armed Forces of the Federation reflects federal character in the manner prescribed in Section 2173 of the 1999 Constitution. Ensure that the functions specified in Section 217 of the 1999 Constitution and the powers exercised by the President in appointment of the service chiefs and officer corps and other ranks of the Armed Forces of the Federation in Section 218 reflects the said section. Recommend to the President from among the best and most qualified and most educated and most experienced members of the Armed Forces of the Federation for appointment of Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, Director of National Intelligence, and heads of other armed-bearing security agencies, and ensure that such appointment reflects the federal character of Nigeria. Recommend to the President the removal from office as service chiefs and heads of other armed-bearing security agencies on grounds of misconduct, abuse of office, breach of any section of the Constitution, the Armed Forces Act, or any other act of the National Assembly. Approve promotion from among the best, most competent, and qualified officers as heads of military formations, branches, such as general officers commanding, and their equivalent in the Navy and Air Force, provided that in making such recommendations, the Commission shall observe the federal character principle and adopt an equitable template to spread the offices of the service chiefs and officer corps and other ranks among the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the enactment of this bill will help to strengthen our national unity and integration, where the overall interest of all sections of the country is protected. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, in line with Order 77.3 of our standing rules, the financial compendium is hereby attached. I urge all of you to support this bill for the second reading. I so submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ovi Omo Agege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I like to align myself in the main with the position taken by the leader of the Senate. Mr. President, on the surface, it's difficult to quarrel with the content of the motion, of the bill. But Mr. President, the devil is in the details. The devil is in the details. So I, standing here today, I will not be opposed to this bill being read for the second time. So we have an opportunity during the public hearing and when it comes before us here to look at the provisions. But let me just say up front, without prejudice to what will come out from the public hearing, under Section 219, which is the anchor for this bill, what they are seeking to do is enact a law, an act of parliament, though provided for under 219, but it will be an inferior legislation to the constitutional provisions. Because the power to appoint the chief of defense staff, the chief of army staff, the chief of naval staff, the chief of air force, and other security agencies as may be determined by us. But at least these ones are already determined by the Constitution. That power to make the appointment is already conferred on Mr. President. And that's a constitutional provision. That's Section 218, 218B, I believe. 2182. That power is sacrosanct. It's already established. I am saying this, that we should not end up making a law, which is an act of the National Assembly, that will derogate from the clear constitutional powers already conferred on Mr. President. But having said that, Mr. President, will I wait to see the deliberations of the public hearing and also wait for the clause-by-clause consideration when it comes before us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Alero.
I want to lend my voice to this seemingly controversial, but in reality, simple and straightforward. I stand, Mr. President, to oppose this bill. And I look at the whole scenario as a non-issue. The federal character is already enshrined in the Constitution, And federal character starts from the beginning of recruitment in any service. And probably those of us who don't know what federal character means and how it operates is whenever there is a vacancy, they refer to the Federal Character Commission to give them the list of each occupant of a seat from all the states, and they will see where there is imbalance, and they will recommend to the recruiting agency who to be recruited from which state. Now, to hide under the cover of Section 219, 217 of the Constitution is just an academic exercise. Because, yes, it is, and I'm telling you from the point of view, I have read the Constitution, and you can't be more lawyer than myself. Mr. President, since this Constitution has been operated, and even those who argue on the side of the Constitution that we should follow the Constitution because the Constitution said the National Assembly may or shall. Mr. President, you just read a communication from the Deputy Senate President that there will be a meeting of the Constitution Review Committee. The Constitution itself is not sacrosanct. It's not something that cannot be changed. So we can't use that argument to change the status quo. So, Mr. President, I think we should advise the mover of the motion to drop this matter and let's move ahead. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator